All right, so it's finally here, the Apple Vision Pro. And how do you describe this? How do you describe the Vision Pro? Is it really an AR, VR headset? Well, I can tell you guys that Apple doesn't really want this to be called an AR, VR headset, and that's because it implies that this is already a technology that's out in the market. So Apple really doesn't want to classify this as a pre-existing product, and they're doing a really good job at giving an impression that Apple is the first in the market to come out with an AR, VR headset. Now keep in mind, this is a first gen product from Apple, so it's not really meant to be perfect. And there are a lot of, you can say, flaws, if that's what you want to call it. This is more of a test and trial kind of version where Apple will then start refining from here on. And the most exciting part about this is not really that this is just another AR, VR headset, it's actually the future implications that probably this will have, because if they're doing such a good job with a first-gen product, I'm actually excited to see what Apple has in store for the next 3, 4, 5, or 10 years down the line, similar to the iPhone and the first Apple Watch and the first MacBooks as well. So you can kind of imagine where things are going to be, and that's probably the most exciting part about this. Now, I didn't decide to do an unboxing this time because I think there's plenty of unboxings out there. Instead, I just wanted to do a quick first impression and just show you guys my thoughts about this. So if you look at the overall design, then this is a device that's mostly made up of glass and metal. There's also bits of carbon fiber in here and also a little bit of plastic. If we compare this weight-wise, this is around 600 grams or a little bit over 600 grams. If we compare this to the Meta Quest Pro, that is actually, I believe that's around 1.9 pounds. And part of the reason of that is because the battery of the Meta Quest Pro is actually on the back of the device. So over here this time, you have a separate battery. And one thing about the battery is that this is a 3,300 milliampere battery, which is a little bit difficult for me to believe because this is a very heavy battery. Normally, when you buy a power bank, which is equally as heavy, I've seen power banks of the same heft and the same weight and the same width have 5,000, 10,000, even 20,000 milliamperes of battery. So it's kind of hard for me to believe that there's only 3,300 milliamperes of battery on this one, which will last you between 2 to 4 hours depending on how you use it. Out of the box, this comes with the Solo Knit band, and this is probably one of the best looking bands out there because a lot of the times when you buy the other VR headsets, you have kind of like a loop on top. And this does come with a secondary dual loop band, which is used for more support. Now this one, just looking at this and just putting it on, it kind of feels like it's about to fall off your head. You have the connector over here, and there's actually no way of shutting this thing down. So as long as this is connected, this will only go into standby mode and you can't really shut it off apart from you just taking this completely off. And if you want to take this off, you actually have to twist it and then it comes right out. So it's a very secure way of making sure that it's not pulled. So it's not just like a MagSafe type thing where it can be pulled if you use too much force of it. And then you also have the battery over here, which uses a USB-C connector to charge it. And this does come with a charger, which I think is a 30-watt charger, and then a USB-C to USB-C cable to charge the 3,300 milliampere battery. Now on the inside, this comes with 2 micro OLED displays, and the displays are incredibly sharp. And for a first generation device, I was actually impressed because each one of these has 23 million pixels, which is more than 4K resolution for each eye. This can also be fitted with prescription glasses from Zeiss separately. By default, if you just buy the Vision Pro, you're not going to get that, but it will cost you more to actually do that. And an easy way to that, or an easy hack around that, is just to buy contact lenses. Now looking at some of the cameras, this comes with 12 cameras that are both on the inside and on the outside. And for the outside, it's just so that it actually can give you a full field of view of the outside. This also comes with 5 microphones and 6 sensors. And the sensors are not only tracking your eyes, but they're also used for specifically doing this, which is the gesture which you're going to be using to click on specific things. And the way this works is by eye tracking. So this comes with the M2 chip, which is used for the computing processing of the Vision Pro. But then this also comes with a very interesting and a very smart R1 chip, which has specifically been designed to track your eyes. And that's the #1 way of actually interacting with this. So there's no really anything physical apart from these buttons, which is just used to turn it on and kind of navigate a little bit through it. One of the things that I saw, or one of the, I wouldn't call it a negative thing, but it's something that will take you a little bit time to get used to, is that when you want to select something, you actually have to specifically look at that. So let's say you're putting in a passcode, you have to specifically look at the numbers and then do this to actually go ahead and select it. So that takes a little bit of time to get used to. It's not something that your brain has been normally used to do. Our brains have been developed to kind of do multiple things at one time or look at different things at one time. One of the things that I found very fascinating is the way that this actually projects the displays on the inside. It's very similar to how your eyes work naturally, because the way your eyes work right now is that you're able to just look at one thing at a time. So I'm looking at the camera, but everything around me is kind of blurred out. And that's exactly what the Vision Pro also does. So when you're looking at something, it will kind of blur out everything else. And that's because obviously I think it's not able to process everything in high res at the same time. So what it does is exactly what our eyes do. So whatever you're looking at, and that's a very smart way of doing it, because this mainly is used by eye tracking. So the way that it does that is when I want to specifically select something, let's say I'm selecting a song, it's going to increase the resolution and the focus on that specific thing that I'm looking at, and the rest will be kind of fuzzy and blurry. The pass-through is probably one of the best features about the Vision Pro. It's actually one of the best pass-throughs that I've seen on any other or any VR right now up to date. And it's so good that it's actually very difficult for you to distinguish that you're actually looking at something through a camera and something in real life. And the R1 chip, again, that's where the R1 chip shines. And according to Apple, it takes 12 milliseconds for that specific object to be captured by the camera, to be displayed on the display on the inside, and then to be displayed onto your actual eyes. So 12 milliseconds is actually 8 times faster than the blink of an eye. So they do a pretty good job at that as well. And again, that's the R1 chip, and that's probably one of the reasons why this is so expensive. But apart from that, the reason why this is so expensive is because it's a first-gen product. So there's a lot of research and development that's going on behind this, and Apple is obviously going to charge you for that as well. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the eyes on the outside, and this has a display on the outside which will project or will kind of show you a little bit of a hologram of your eyes showing on the outside. I really don't know why that is. A lot of people are kind of confused as why Apple decided to do that. It has no real function in the real world, and also from a VR point of view, it actually does nothing apart from just give you that iconic look that Apple has been building into the Vision Pro. And I think my personal thoughts are that this is more of a kind of like a privacy thing, where if you're looking at something, they want you to, or people that are passing by you, or if you're using this in public, you want people to know that this has cameras that are showing the outside world. So in one way or another, it's kind of telling people that you're able to look at them, and then they're able to look back at you. I think it's only that, apart from just being an actual functionality. All right, let's talk about the ecosystem and the apps. Now, this comes with Vision OS, which is the first generation, version of Vision OS. And obviously, there's a lot of improvements to make. Natively, this comes with around 600 apps that are built into the Vision OS. So you'll have your default apps, which are projected right in front of you. But apart from that, there's 600 apps in the App Store that are also available, which at first, just thinking about it, seems like a lot, but it's really not a lot when you think that there are millions of apps on the App Store for the iPhone and for your Mac and for your iPad as well. To give you a very clear example or a visual of what this looks like, it looks a lot like iPad OS, but kind of put on steroids with the whole spatial effect and the 3D spatial imaging added on top to it. It's not very different from what you currently see, and when you put in your Apple ID, it will immediately then sync all of your folders and all of your files and your photos and videos into this. So all that is already available. There's a lot of other apps that are not available because of Apple's own vendetta, or because of other developers that really don't want to work with the Vision Pro. So apps like Netflix, YouTube, and a lot of other social media apps are actually not available natively in the App Store. So the way to work around that is that you can actually go ahead and go into the Safari browser, type those manually, and then browse them from there. Now, the last part about this is whether you should consider buying this or not. And that's where a lot of people get confused. If you guys want my honest opinion, then I would say probably no, don't go ahead and buy it. But again, the reason why people are going to be buying it right now is just for the sake of fun. At this moment, this is nothing more than a very expensive toy. But the most exciting part about this is probably the future implications that will come along in the next 5 years, or maybe not even 5 years, maybe that's too long, but maybe like the next 2 or 3 years. And as time passes along, we're going to have developers actually then using this to create other options. I think that there's going to be a point where we're going to be flying airplanes with this thing. I mean, I think that that's where this is going to take us. There's really no limit to where this is going to go, because this is a completely new product. And you even saw what Meta is doing. I mean, it's a completely new world out there that's still not even explored. And with the capabilities of Apple, and the most, I would say, biggest advantage of this is that there is a complete world behind the Vision Pro. So if you tell me, or if you ask me, hey, should I buy the Quest Pro or should I buy the Vision Pro? I would probably tell you to buy the Vision Pro, because again, there's a whole world of Apple behind this that includes both software and hardware, which is compatible with other Apple devices and other Apple softwares, which probably will be something that we don't see immediately right now, but later on in the future. So that backing up and that knowledge and research and development that Apple has is probably the biggest advantage to the Vision Pro as compared to anything else right now, which is why this is probably different than any other thing that we've seen right now, which is why Apple is probably kind of advertising or marketing this as a completely new product in the market, instead of comparing it to existing AR, VR headsets. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much my first impressions on the Apple Vision Pro. This right now, the specific version that I have costs $3,500, which is a lot. But this is the base version, so this comes with 256 gigs of internal storage. You can go ahead and buy a 512 gig version as well as a 1 terabyte version. Those are my thoughts. Those are my first impressions on the Apple Vision Pro. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think this is something that will eventually be revolutionizing for the tech industry, for Apple, for future generations to come? And do you think that it actually can replace a phone or even the MacBook? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.